Thanks everyone for being here today. Appreciate the shout out. Representing PrivateAI here. I think Microsoft probably knows my boss, John Stocks. I know he's been heavily involved in that. Let's dive into it. First, I really want to start with the team. My name's Steven Newby. We're all from Toronto here. And I'm a senior account executive here. So I partner with organizations on their strategic data and privacy initiatives. Next, we have Patricia Thane. She's our co-founder and CEO. She has fantastic experience highlighted by the World Economic Forum naming her a 2023 Technology Pioneer and a Gartner Cool Vendor. She's also doing work in the space of privacy, preserving NLP, along with a focus of applied cryptography and re-identification risks. There's quite a bit going on there. Peter, he's our co-founder and CTO. His background is highlighted by developing the first deep learning algorithm for one of the leading car brands in the world, and he also specializes in ML edge deployment and model optimization. And Mike Young here, he comes to us with great experience from big companies like SAP, Salesforce, Indigo Data, with a particular focus on go-to-market strategies and product direction. So we have a fantastic team here. When Peter and Patricia initially met back at the University of Toronto, load of different business ideas across AI, ML, all that good stuff. But they realized the real opportunity was how to unlock the value of data for all the different industries that they work with, but especially for healthcare, given the amount of PII and PHI considerations and the petabytes of volume that are going through it every single year. And this has only been amplified recently with generative AI and the potentially $1 trillion opportunity, according to McKinsey here. But we're PrivateAI, so naturally this is the question. What about data privacy? If done correctly, AI presents a huge opportunity to increase automation, efficiencies, scalability, certainly patient care and outcomes, which is the most important here. But if not done correctly, I think we all know huge risk across the entire organization with multiple ripple effects like project delays, inability to leverage the latest technology, scalability, so on and so forth. So then you need to spend a ton of time, effort, money, resources to either manually, like via humans, to redact the 18 HIPAA safe harbor entities, or invest into big tech or expert determination to make sure that your data is clean and usable. You need to ensure that your data is nearly perfect, very little wiggle room here. You need to ensure you have the right cybersecurity measures in place that in the worst case scenario of a breach that you're able to protect your data or risk $11 million on average or more. And I think as we can all appreciate, keeping up with the ongoing changes, which is at a very rapid pace these days. What we hear from customers about taking the, hey, I'm going to invest into big tech approach to try and solve these problems are a few things. First, they hear concerns about how big tech not necessarily may be optimized for data privacy specifically, and they may retain rights to their data, which kind of feels ironic. We also hear that organizations ultimately want to leverage big tech. There's a lot of trust, faith, familiarity, but they feel they're being held back by the PII and PHI concerns. And just kind of that one-on-one personalized support they feel can be challenging as part of working with a very large organization. And then we hear I think we can all agree, even more fear about the use of generative AI and LLMs, and they're often referred to as a privacy black hole. And it ends up where healthcare organizations are spending billions of dollars every year across all these different layers, and we've touched on it in the panel, to try and solve what we believe is really just a fundamental data problem, which is where our solution comes in. We are a consolidated platform aiming to increase protection, compliance, and utility, and we're used by some of the very large organizations around the world. In this case, especially highlighted by the CDC and Providence Health, which I'll touch on. And getting into more specifics here, we deploy as a totally stateless container within your own environment, whether that's on-prem, in the cloud, or a mix of both. It's really up to you. And we're very flexible in terms of how you want to use us. Whether you want to apply redaction labels to increase the protection, utility, ensure models aren't memorizing any of your data, and removing bias, which is a huge part of our value proposition. Fulfill regulatory requirements such as DSIR requests. You want to tokenize the data in order to increase your cybersecurity practices in that worst case event of a breach. Or you could even synthetically replace the data. This serves a couple of purposes. It's another great way to train your models while maintaining context and also serve as a purpose to reduce your re-identification risk, because in that event of a breach, it's nearly impossible to distinguish between real and fake data. How we do this specifically for LLMs in terms of ensuring they do not memorize any of your precious PII and PHI data is by removing the personal info from the prompt based on context before it's sent to OpenAI or any of these other LLMs that you might be using. We then re-identify the personal info in the response back to the user, so that's as contextually useful and relevant as possible in terms of your productivity gains or whatever the use case you might be applying this for. So then the question becomes, how do we go to market today, and ultimately how do we scale for the future? Today, we are currently supported by a dedicated sales team, which I am part of here, in order to achieve a deep understanding of our customers' complex enterprise needs. This is fantastic in a sense that gives us phenomenal market signal and direction for our product roadmap and where we should go and what our customers ultimately need, which is supported by our team of language experts who ensure that, hey, this can be applied not only in this use case, but also the under industries that we work with, governing bodies, languages, multimodal, all this type of good stuff. Where we see a huge opportunity to scale in the future is through product-led growth. This will allow us to grow our sales team by offloading low-value work and ultimately increasing the revenue per person. What this also means is increasing the ease of consumption for our customers. And just as an example, to support this initiative, we actually now offer our solution in both the AWS and Azure marketplaces, again, to support this. That is all. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Hi, I'm Sua at SignalFire. This is probably one of the most important questions that everyone is asking right now, and we're seeing a lot of different players entering the space. I'm curious to hear a little bit more about your differentiation specifically and the underlying sort of sustainable advantage you hope to establish.
I thought that might be a question. I would, both of these slides, if I could have them up at the same time, is a really big part. So I speak with, I have the frontline conversations every single day, very common question. It usually boils down to a couple of things. One is our overall depth of coverage and our, like how our model works in the very first place. So maybe didn't highlight it as much, but our solution is entirely contextually based. So based on the context of the conversation, not a regex, this is what our solution uses to determine, hey, this is PII, this is PHI, and whatever that might look like. And then you try to apply this, because we work with a lot of engineering teams, developers. If they did try and build this themselves, it's typically done really well in English. But now we can extend our solution to 51 other languages. So if you're talking about scalability, especially in the States, Spanish is very large. Doing this in multiple languages, multimodal, we support about 15 different ways. Even structured databases, there's always that very sneaky last column within a Databricks instance or something that is loose text, but within that. So we can be applied, our motto is basically wherever you want, however you want, and so that fits the not LLM use cases, as well as our LLM use cases, where we're empowering the use of ChatGPT or any of these other ones in a safe way. So it's really about that depth of coverage, the scalability, and ultimately our accuracy, which we tend to hit 99.5% accuracy. So we're very, very proud of that.
Sure, just a little bit.